Is it all right now, my friend? Yeah. So, oh yeah, it's all right. Yeah, I can hear myself. Hello, hi. Yeah, and like I said before, even though you guys didn't hear me, while I'm still setting up, just tell me how are you guys feeling today? Like what's the time there? What's the weather there? How do you feel about today? How do you feel about seeing me, All sorts of things. Yeah. And it should take very soon for me to set up everything. And while I'm still setting up, would be great if you guys can just reply. Yeah. Morning, everyone. Morning, Christy Little C. 卡的太严重了，现在还卡吗？啊，现在应该不卡了吧？It's 90:33. Oh, okay. You're saying it's like 19. It's 7:33 p.m., right? I was like, it's 1933. Like I thought what you were saying the year 1933. It's a sunny evening. Wait, what do you mean like sunny evening? Like at 7:30, you guys still have lots of sunshine? Still sunny? That is fantastic. I'm so jealous. I really like sunny weathers. I'm a huge fan of sunny days. Yeah, 4:30 p.m. pretty cloudy. Yeah, good. And welcome, guys. 今天的耳环漂亮，是不是叶子一样的？Yeah, leaves. Like you like the earrings today, right? Good morning. You look like a doll. Do I? Look like a doll? Yeah. Okay. It is not nighttime yet here in the eastern US. In the eastern US, wait, eastern, western. Well, eastern time is like 7:30, right? PM, but that 7:30 PM is not considered to be an evening time. It's not nighttime, it's evening time already. Yeah, I think it is our common thread that will bring lasting peace. Okay, now you look pretty. Thank you, my friend. Yeah, and welcome. 会说中文哦，来，我来看看我的扇子在哪儿。OK，好，as usual, guys. Okay, this live stream is about China. Okay, you're seeing a very beautiful and smart woman who knows a lot about China and about so many other things as well. So, like on this paper fan, okay, if you have any questions about China as usual, or any topics you feel like talking, and also like anything you're curious about myself, just any questions, okay? Any question as long as you find it interesting. Anything about China, okay, just so you know, guys, I am 100% Chinese, okay? I'm 100% Chinese. So anything about China, you can ask me. Anything about myself, like how can I able to speak English so well, etc. You know, all those questions you guys can ask, okay, in the comments. And we usually just start from there and seeing what are the good questions there. And I'm just gonna answer and start discuss with all of you and start to have some very interesting stories that I can share with you, you know. So, guys, anything about China, okay? Usually we just start from here. Anything about China, if you guys have any questions about China, I'm just gonna answer in here, okay? Yeah, so what is China's immigration policy like? Extremely hard. Extremely hard, okay, my friend. Yeah, so lots of people ask nowadays, like, hey, how can I just get a Chinese nationality? Can I might immigrant to China? As a matter of fact, it's very hard to immigrate to China. China is not an immigrant country. It is a country with 1.4 billion population, already so many people in there, already very hard to manage. So if we are gonna have like other people coming in, it's gonna be a lot of pressure to rule this country. So that's why we're not an immigrant country, okay? And it will be quite hard if you want to get a like nationality in here, even for those Chinese people, okay? For Chinese people who are born abroad and they want to get back their Chinese nationality, that is like so hard, not to mention like pure 100% foreign people, okay? So I shared multiple times. I remember over the past 10 years, only I think 9,000 foreigners got permanent residence, PR, right? Not to mention about the nationality. So it would be really hard to get Chinese nationality. Yeah. So yeah, that's the answer to the question. Okay, Xi'an for history, Shenzhen for technology, Shanghai for modernity. Yeah, you're quite right, Anthony. You're quite right. So if you want to explore history, Xi'an is definitely a place that's worth visiting. But not only Xi'an, there are some other places that you could go and explore history. For example, you can also go to Gansu. These are also good places with lots of like history kind of stuff. Okay. But Xi'an is very famous because it is a city that has terracotta, right? All the foreigners are fascinated about the terracotta. I remember when I was little, I even wondered whether like terracotta are real human beings. You know, whether terracotta has a real human beings inside it, and they just put mud like human live human beings and then made it to terracotta. I thought it was like that, yeah, but it was not. Yeah. So Xi'an also you get to see many other things and also has great cuisine. They're very good at making noodles. Okay, making things, noodles and pancakes, Chinese pancakes using flour. So that's something that Xi'an is so good at. Shenzhen for technology, yes. So, well, compared to other cities, like you have a lot of like very interesting stuff that you can see in Shenzhen. So Shenzhen for technology, Shanghai, you could also see technology as well because like whenever there's a new technology you want to implement, Shanghai would also be the city to implement. Okay, and Shanghai, of course, is also for modernity. You're right. Yeah. So when it comes to design, architecture, the kind of vibes, Shanghai is best. Yeah. Out of interest, how did your English become so good? Thank you, Olympic, London Olympic. Shanghai is very expensive, not really compared to the US standard. So if Kin Simple, I'm not so sure where you're from. Okay, so if you're from the US, compared to the current price you guys have in the US, Shanghai is nothing expensive at all. Okay, so for example, previously I have showed people that a random restaurant I went to, which is pretty nice when it comes to interior design, and the food itself is very tasty. However, for like four of us, four adults, okay, there are two men, okay, two men. One is my dad, one is my husband. They're like very tall, very strong men, right? And the rest are my mom and me, right? Four people altogether, it only costs us like altogether less than 40 US dollars to have a very, very good meal full of dishes on the table, entire table to eat in one of the restaurant. That's actually a Muslim restaurant. A Muslim restaurant. Even though I'm not Muslim, but that is a pretty good restaurant. So well, compared to other cities in China, Shanghai is definitely more expensive. However, compared to the kind of pricing people enjoy in other countries, Shanghai is not considered to be expensive at all. Yeah. 40 US dollars for people, for people. Yeah, 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 exactly. Not lying. Okay. I can actually show you the videos and also the bills. Yeah. Yeah, let's see. Okay. Yeah. Still there are things that I haven't set up. Yeah. If I marry a Chinese woman, can I get a marriage visa and stay there though? I don't think so. I don't think so. I think that would be very hard. Rent in Shanghai, well, rent in Shanghai is also relatively okay, depending on where you want to live. Okay, if you want to live like the Manhattan area of Shanghai, then it's going to be very expensive, right? However, if you are looking at some other areas, some of the rent can be quite cheap. So, for example, if you are looking at a one bedroom apartment, because that's usually like for one foreigner to come in, they would just rent a one-bedroom apartment, right? So the current rent of a one-bedroom apartment in a pretty good location costs around 1,000, sometimes even less than 1,000 US dollars per month. Okay, if you're looking at two-bedroom, then that would be, um, I think, well, 15,000. That's kind of the two-bedroom. Two-bedroom is good enough for a family of four, right? Or like three bedrooms, right? Two bedrooms, I think, should be okay for a family of four. So if you're talking about two-bedroom, the rent should be like 15,000 to 2,000. Um, well, unless you're renting a very big size, like two-bedroom apartment. Okay, yeah. So yeah, and guys, follow me, please. Okay, 小姐姐早上好，你好，很高兴认识你. I'm in Nanchang studying. I went to Shenzhen. It was amazing. So you're a foreign student currently in Nanchang, studying Nanchang, and you went to Shenzhen. You like Shenzhen? Have you been to Shanghai, my friend? 可爱小姐姐, have you been to Shanghai, my friend? If you haven't, come to Shanghai. To be honest, I like, well, it really depends on what are the things you're looking in when it comes to visiting the city. For example, if you're looking for technology, well, Shenzhen has some. Like when I had this like Palm payment, right? I posted a video of it, and that's actually in the city of Shenzhen in its airport. Okay, so well, if you're looking for culture, those kind of things, to be honest, I don't think Shenzhen has too much of that. Then if you're looking for some culture experience, then definitely go to Beijing, Shanghai. There are like more culture, like more performances. Like for example, personally, when I go abroad, I really like to go to big cities like New York and London. So these are the international city that has so many top performers come in to perform. Because I'm a fan of classical music and also musicals. Okay, so I've actually shared multiple times in my live stream about that. I really like classical music and I really like musicals. And in London and in New York, you just have so many fantastic theaters and you have like world class of performers coming in to perform like concerts, everything, and that is great, and I consider that to be very rich in culture. So I don't think Shenzhen has a lot of that, in my opinion. Okay, not so sure of now. Okay, I remember a few years ago it doesn't have a lot of that. Okay, however, relatively speaking, I think Shanghai and Beijing has a lot more. Yeah, I have plans to work in Shenzhen or Guangzhou after graduation. Fantastic. I would suggest Shenzhen. It looks like Shenzhen has more job opportunity, so go to Shenzhen. Yeah, yeah. How is the creative industry in Shanghai? What do you mean by creative industry, my friend? I have no idea what is creative industry. Can you elaborate more on? Just give me some examples. What are the creative industry? What are considered to be creative industry? Then I can help answer. Okay? Yeah, my friend. Yeah, uh-huh. Let's see what the other comments. If you like classical, look up Olaf for yeah, well, okay, actually help translate into Chinese, Anthony. Yeah, because I probably know it in Chinese. I just don't know it in English. Yeah. My wife is in Nanchang and I lived there for a while with her. Good. You guys are talking to each other. I like it. 2018年我来中国的时候去了上海、成都、眉山、西安、北京。哇，这个跨度挺大的。Terry, when you said that you came to so many cities, like in 2018, these are not like cities that are very close to each other. So I'm pretty sure you spent a pretty long time in China and you're flying from everywhere. Because usually for Chinese people, when we do domestic traveling, we would just go to one areas, like for example, one province and visited like the city inside the province. So we don't spend too much time on the road. And it looks like you've been to like all these different cities, like Shanghai and here, Sichuan and there, right? And Xi'an and there, Beijing and there. Like you're going everywhere. Pretty sure you spent lots of time on the road taking the flights. So if you plan to come again next time, probably you could just do like focus on one area, okay? So that you get to have very in-depth kind of exploration. And just so you know, on Rednote, there are so many like local traveler and traveling agencies that can provide you very good like in-depth kind of traveling. So if you do need those kind of recommendation, you can actually message me. I know some very good traveling agencies. I can just connect you to get directly so that you can talk to them and they speak good English as well. Okay, yeah. How about Shenyang? Talking about Shenyang, okay, that belongs to northeast part of China, okay? So northeast part of China has three provinces, okay? The three provinces are Liaoning, um, Liaoning, Jilin, and Harbin. So three provinces in the northeast part of China, and we in Chinese we call them northeastern Chinese, 东北人. They are very famous for like many things. For example, very famous for their personality. Okay, so people from northeastern China are usually considered to have the kind of personality that they are like very generous, and when it comes to talking they don't just focus on very tiny things, and they're overall speaking just very generous. Yeah, and the personality is very, how to say, very 豪爽. Well, I don't know how to say it in English. 很豪爽. Yeah, northeastern Chinese. So northeastern Chinese people are pretty typical, quite different from the other people in the rest of China. So also like northeastern people, because that's the area of China that is very cold, especially in winter, the coldest in winter. So that's why the people there have this kind of habit of going to those 24-hour spa center, which sounds very expensive, but not expensive at all. You can stay there for 24 hours doing like bathing, showering, and having people do massage on you. And there are so many relaxing areas and you can just spend a whole day so comfortably in there. There are even like video games, like everything, and also like really delicious buffet, like of northeastern Chinese food, like super good experience for a whole day. Probably just takes you like $10, $20 the whole day, 24 hours. So that's why it's called 24-hour spa center. So if you go to Shenyang, like which is one of the city inside northeastern China, okay, there are so many other cities that is great in northeastern China. Definitely make sure you visit the 24-hour spa center. So they have those kind of 24-hour spa center that is like first tier when it comes to many like ways, like comes to food, comes to the environment, interior design, right? Also it comes to the massage, like 搓澡, right? Getting rid of all the mud. There are professionals helping you to rub, that helps to rub your body to get rid of all the mud on your body, right? And they even add milk and rose tea or something like that, like before doing those rubbing. It's really fun. It's a very, very interesting experience for foreigners to have a try. Okay. So, for example, in cities like Shanghai, we also have that. However, it's like way, way, way more expensive. Yeah. So, 奥拉佛阿纳斯阿纳尔斯的 Anthony, can you actually just message me? Can you DM me the name? Well, I still don't know it in Chinese. So since I'm on live stream, so I probably couldn't just remember. Is it would be great if you could just write the name, message me separately the name of it. I'll make sure I check it afterwards. Okay? Yeah. 中文真好，因为我中国人呐、任逍遥哥们儿，我中国人呐、中文当然好，就是英文讲得太好了是吗？让你觉得我是外国人，所以偶尔讲会儿中文，让你觉得我中文很好是吗？都还没有用那些华丽的词藻，都还没有开始用成语呢，哥们儿。That is so funny. Yeah. Do you think China will stop persecuting? Christopher, I don't think that is true. Okay, I think that is a lie that what you have heard about China. We are, well, I'm not so sure what's your what you heard about your media, but we are a pretty open and free country. Yeah. So your earrings and chain look very traditional, lovely. Thank you, my friend. Yeah, guys, follow me, please. Okay, follow me, please. Yeah. So, okay, guys. Well, you guys can keep on just sending questions in here. 今天这个色系好看是吗？喜欢的话以后多穿穿的呀。Is there a specific reason as to why? Because it's a big country. Oh, what are you asking? Let me see. Oh, you're asking 可爱小姐姐. You're not asking me. Okay. That's fine. I really like the fact that you guys are actually talking to each other in the comment area. So I feel like it makes me feel more like it's a community rather than just me talking and you guys responding, right? You guys talk to each other as well. That makes me feel so good about this live stream. I like it. Why 中国 can move back? That is fantastic. Traveling between provinces was easy for me. Just use the high-speed train. Exactly, my friend. Try the high-speed train. The high-speed train is so, so, so good. I mean, like whenever I want to travel across different provinces, the first option is definitely the high-speed train. I would try high-speed train just because it's so comfortable. And you also get to enjoy internet, right? Wi-Fi, or just basically your phone internet, right, while you sit there. And also, it's much cheaper, and you don't worry about whether there's any delay, right? Unless there is extreme weather. Otherwise, like the train is always on time. And also forget about like so long time of waiting to be checked in the airport, right? It only takes you 20 minutes to just from entering the station to get onto the train. It's like so convenient. So my foreign friends, just try high speed rail. Okay, so if you come to China to travel, if it's like within China travel from province to province, is definitely check high speed train first. Well, actually, some cities to cities travel is not as long as you thought. For example, from Beijing to Shanghai, it takes like less than five hours. And if you consider like taking the flight, when if you counting the kind of time you need to check in, right, and also travel from the airport all the way to city center, well, it's actually pretty much the same amount of time. So yeah, definitely try the high speed train. Yeah. Food in China is so good and so diverse. Yeah, exactly. Many people don't know about that. Many people do not know that Chinese food is so diverse because like China is such a big country, the north from east, the south to the west, right? Different places in China has just different eating habits. Their cuisines can be so amazing, and you can just travel around China and eat so many different flavors. Some are light and some are like spicy, some are heavy, so many different very diverse cuisine. And also because nowadays in China, the restaurant industry are so competitive. So people are making their food even more how to say, even more fusion and even more innovative. So you would even find restaurants in China that has some like foreign elements in it. For example, if you guys check my post, you will see there is a post about a restaurant that actually makes like Chinese, like Western food, European food, for example, pizza, right, and also pasta. However, just by adding Chinese flavors in it. So that's like very delicious. So you're gonna have a taste of both Western and also Chinese food. And also, I posted a video yesterday. If you guys haven't checked it, definitely check it. Okay. So in the video yesterday, I posted some restaurant which is a fusion between Chinese and Japanese food. So all the interior design, all the waitress, and also the chef dressed up like a Japanese. However, the chef himself, I think, is a Shanghainese. So he kind of merged the Shanghainese food together with the Japanese food, and that is like very, very interesting. Yeah, it's very, very interesting. Yeah. All parts of China use Beijing time uniformly. Yes, exactly. All parts of China use Beijing time uniformly. So that would be a very interesting thing to see some parts of China, even though they're using Beijing time. However, they should be using some other time zone. So, for example, that's why you go to Xinjiang when it's like very late in the night. For example, 8 p.m. is already considered to be late, right? For example, in city of Shanghai, if it's already 8 p.m., well, for sure, it's already very dark and everyone should have already finished their dinner, right? Usually we would have our dinner around 6 p.m., 7 p.m., right? And 8 p.m. should definitely be the time that we have finished our dinner for like usual families, okay? Not for those young people who have lots of OT overtime, okay? Yeah. So if you look at Xinjiang, so they usually just go to work late and they would have dinner at around 8 p.m. and also 10 p.m. That's why they that's the reason behind that is because they use the same time zone as us. However, because they are so far away, so they should be like 1 hour and 2 hours behind as a matter of fact. So that's why, it's a very interesting phenomenon. So, like for example, when I travel to Xinjiang, and I have actually said a lot of times, I encourage people to go to Xinjiang to travel. And then in Xinjiang, you would notice that people actually wake up later, go to work later, and also eat dinner later. It's pretty common to see people to eat at 9 p.m., 10 p.m. at night, and then go to sleep like later. Yeah, so it's very interesting. Yeah, let's see what the other 气质都不一样了，太傲娇了。傲娇是什么气质？花非花来告诉我一下，傲娇是什么气质？美国、加拿大我不是哦，我不是美国、加拿大长大的，我是土生土长的中国人，上海人。OK，我是在上海出生，上海长大，上海上的小学、中学、大学、本科，然后去英国读的硕士，所以我是这个，不是在国外长大的。OK，不是在国外长大的。Yeah. Okay, I was telling people there's a Chinese follower who said that, hey, you're born and raised in Canada, US. I guess she comes to this conclusion because of my English has a very strong American accent. So I'm saying that I'm actually not from, well, I'm sure I didn't grow up in the US and Canada. I grew up here in Shanghai. So I was born in Shanghai, raised up in Shanghai, went to the primary school, junior high school, senior high school, and university here in Shanghai. And afterwards, I did a master's degree in London. And later on, I started my career in Hong Kong. So that's the whole thing about me. Too proud? No, I'm not too proud. I'm just very confident, my friend. Just very confident. Well, if you think I am too proud, probably, you know, okay. How can I say it? I want to say it, put it very politely. 花挥发，我觉得我其实没有很傲娇，我只是对自己充满了自信。所以，如果你觉得这样的一个状态已经算是傲娇的话，我可能觉得我需要有一些小小的建议给到你哦。我觉得你可能也需要提升一下自信，因为在我看来，这只是一种非常自信的状态，而不是一个傲娇、非常骄傲的一个状态。如果这样的状态都被认为是特别傲娇的话，那我可能会觉得说，是不是你会有一点太自卑，对自己太自卑了，对自己多自信一点好吗？Okay, yeah, guys, follow me. Oh, there are Korean friends in here. I saw some Korean words. No, I'm not English major, my friend. Not English major. So I was business major and in the undergrad years. So I did my undergrad years in business. Well, actually, it's business and accounting specifically. And then the master degree was in finance. So that's what's my major. And I started my career in one of the biggest investment bank on Wall Street in Hong Kong. Yeah, so that's 傲娇是褒义词吗？OK，我傲娇的意思就是自信满满。哦，OK，好的，行，为你点赞。OK， Oh, love you guys. Yeah, I like business. Confident, that's good. Yeah, you should teach me Chinese. What are the Chinese things you want to learn, my friend? Master degree, I could tell you're intelligent without saying it by just looking at you. QPI, you're so nice to me. Every time you just say like some very nice things. Okay, my Korean friends, just so you know, like I don't understand Korean words, even though I see you're typing in Korean. I hope that is a nice word you're sending to me. Oh, okay, so that is hi in Korea. Oh, that is hi in Korean. So, let me see if I can say some Korean, because recently I actually am still watching this Korean drama. I think that is also really popular in Korea, which is played by IU and Paul Gum. Am I right? Not so sure what's the name of that in English, but in English and Korean, but in Chinese it's 苦尽甘来遇见你. That's a very very good Korean drama, and I really like Korean food as well. Okay, 안녕하세요. 안녕. Is that what you just typed, my Korean friend? 안녕. Is that the like Korean words that you just typed? Yeah. 颜值与实力共存。哦哟，你们真的太 nice 了，朋友们，今天怎么都这么好啊？大家拼命的表扬我，真的是你们真的太棒了。Yeah, love you guys. Yeah, and guys, follow me please if you haven't done so. Okay, yes, fantastic. And welcome my Korean friends. I've been to Korea. I've been to Seoul actually. Been to Seoul like 2 to 3 times. I remember there is a restaurant in Seoul that is called that sells like the drunken crabs. The drunken crabs. What's the restaurant name? Pulo. Is it called Pulo? Because in Chinese it's 普乐酱蟹. Oh, it's amazing. So 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 good. I also really like the Korean food in New York City, the Korean town. Super super nice. Yeah. 最近香港谢霆锋演唱会好火，哎呀，我好想去莫文蔚演唱会，我很喜欢莫文蔚的歌。哎呀，那抢不到票。谢霆锋我一般。对，Yeah, there's so many concerts nowadays in China. Like almost every singers are just having a concert. And this weekend, I'm going to see a talk show. I also really like talk shows. Do you guys like talk show? I remember like my very first talk show was watching Russell Peters. How many of you guys have watched Russell Peters? Yeah, 这是关注你的第3天，你给的感觉太舒服了。哎呦，朋友们，你们今天大家都在捧我，捧得我都已经飞到天上去了。Yeah, yeah. How many of you guys have watched Russell Peters? Have you watched Russell Peters? Do you guys have watched Russell Peters? So, like the first time I watched talk show, I watched Russell Peters. Oh my god, I was laughing to hell. So funny, this dude. So one of his most famous kind of talk show was about, because he himself is an Indian Canadian, right? So it's pretty okay for him just to talk about like different races, right? And make jokes about that. Well, it was not okay for, like, to be honest, unfair, even though it's not so fair. But however, it's not so fair for a white person to talk about races, like different races, to joke about it, right? But since he is Indian and Canadian, and like pretty okay for him to joke about different races, right? For example, Indian and the white, and also Chinese people, Korean people, and that was so funny. And also, he shared something like that's pretty common in Asia culture, which is like parents would beat children. Well, well in your culture, do parents beat your children? Do parents beat children in your culture, my friend? So in China, like it's pretty common for parents to beat children, and there's no like support line that children can call because they got beaten by their parents. Like I was beaten by my parents as well when I was little, and I also have the plan to somehow, if my in the future, if I have if I have a child, if he or she doesn't behave very well, I also have the plan to punish him in a way that, well, I wouldn't call it beat, right? I fear that this live stream would be reported, but you guys know what I'm saying, right? Just to make some punishment of that. As long as it's not too violent, that is considered to be a very good way of education. Yeah, yeah. So it happens, but it's good discipline. Yeah, yeah, I think so too. Yeah. So this weekend, I'm going to a talk show in China, in Shanghai, and there is a Shanghainese talk show host called 771. Like really like him. He's like so funny. He also has like Shanghainese style like talk show, which is like very interesting. However, this weekend, because I didn't get the ticket of his Shanghainese local dialect talk show, so I only got the Mandarin. So I'm gonna watch his Mandarin talk show. Yeah. Wow, we're talking about parental abuse. So the thing is that we don't call it abuse, my friend, in China. Yeah, so when you're using the word abuse, you're actually meaning that parents beat children are like always considered to be abused. So we would only consider that to be abuse unless the parents beat their children too violently. So if daily is just gonna like spank, we don't call it abuse at all. Yeah. 我只能说伤害孩子不利于他们的成长。It really depends. Really depends. So it's different. It's a difference of different cultures. Okay. So modern education kind of theory says that okay, parents should always encourage the children, not give any physical punishment to the children. Right. That's like the modern education theory. However, in the our Asian education theory in China, there's also a saying called 棍棒底下出孝子, which basically means if the parents beat the children very hard, then the children will just become a very good person and has this virtue called xiao, and they're gonna just respect their parents a lot more and be a better son or daughter in the future. There's a Chinese saying like that. Well, I don't quite agree because because there is a saying like that. So there are parents who abuse, you know, their power as a parents and like beat a lot of their children. So, well, in my opinion, I think like parents could beat and it's just like the extent. Okay, if it's just spank, right? Because some kids they just don't really listen to you, right? Some of the punishment can make them really remember something they shouldn't do, you know, yeah, we can definitely do that. However, if you are just abusing it, like really, really spank or beat like too violently, then that's not good, and that's gonna cause some like permanent hurt to kids' psychology. Yeah，我们也不叫 beat 或者 physical，比较特色的 parenting，确实。Nitrous, go back to read my question. Okay, sure. What's your question? Start playing word games with the words abuse, abuse. Yeah. Let me see. One of your guests asked if you could pick any period in Chinese history. Which one? Oh, okay. So if I could pick any period in Chinese history, which one? So like if I can just go back and live in one of the dynasty in Chinese history, which dynasty would I go? I would definitely pick Tang Dynasty. I'm definitely gonna pick Tang dynasties. Yeah. So okay, so my friends, just so you know, like in China, we have so many dynasty. It's Tang. Okay, Tang. We have so many dynasty in China. Okay, so each dynasty, China was ruled by one family. So the other day it was very interesting. I was discussing with my husband. We were saying that to be honest, like in some of dynasty in China, especially for Yuan dynasty, right, and also Qing dynasty. Well, if you really depends on how you define it. Okay, so if you define it in a way that okay, if China was invaded by another nation and somehow the other nation started to rule the country as a way of this country was somehow got 灭掉了，怎么说？I'll try to I want to say it in a relatively more subtle, okay, subtler way, so that doesn't sound it too bad. Yeah. So to be honest, for example, for the dynasty of Yuan and for the dynasty of Qing, because these are the two dynasties, China was ruled by outsiders, not like traditionally considered to be Chinese people. However, like Chinese culture has a very great way of just merging, melting the culture of other areas, and then make them eventually become part of the Chinese culture. Okay, so if you think from the last dynasty, okay, for example, the dynasty before Qing is Ming, right? So Ming dynasty was ruled by Chinese people, and then somehow there is foreigners that is 女真族, right? And then they invaded China and somehow just became the ruler of China. So to be honest, if you define that look, the people in Ming dynasty are the Chinese, then the Qing dynasty rulers they are not Chinese, right? They were not Chinese. They just come in and invade the country and take away the emperor role of the dynasty of the country. So, well, to be honest, well, if you define everything like that, China in Qing dynasty was actually ruled by foreigners, right? Somehow the Chinese culture has this amazing ability to just melt the culture of other areas, other places. So somehow Qing dynasty, the that kind of ethnic groups, that like considered back then considered to be foreigners, was then become one of the ethnic group, also become Chinese, and that's very interesting. So we have like so many different dynasties. Like different dynasties are ruled by different families, sometimes even like different ethnic groups. And like for some of ethnic groups, for example, for Yuan dynasty and also for Qing dynasties, they are actually considered to be foreigners until they become the ruler and become part of the Chinese, right? Because they had speak very different language and they write very different language, right? So after they come in and become the ruler of China, they also need to learn the local language. They are actually considered to be foreigners until they become the ruler and become part of the Chinese. Oh yeah, I know it's lagging. Yeah, I know it's lagging on TikTok. Yeah, but there's nothing I can do. It's just oh, the internet, yeah, is not good enough. There's nothing I can do. Yeah, let's wait. Okay, I hope guys you don't leave. Yeah. Yeah, so okay, so back to the topic, right? So Tang Dynasty back then, well, it is a kind of dynasty. First of all, you look at GDP, it's pretty big. Okay, I'm not so sure about the exact number. However, the Tang Dynasty overall speaking, their GDP level compared to today is already like thinking about it. You compare back then the GDP level of Tang Dynasty with the GDP level of the rest of the world. Tang was pretty good and pretty impressive, even possible to be the world number one back then. And also, Tang Dynasty was a dynasty that really has lots of like cross country communication, right? So they send lots of ambassadors to travel across different countries and started their relationship with other countries. And of course, they have lots of military forces, like very strong military forces as well back then in Tang Dynasty, right? So that's why they were able to also send lots of troops and expanded the entire nation. So, like, you guys must have heard about this book called Ji. So inside Ji, there's a very famous character, which is Monkey King, right? All the foreigners are very fascinated about by Monkey King, right? And also Zhu Bajie, the pig, right? So Monkey King is so famous. And right now, like even some foreigners has before asked me about this like Chinese video games, which is the Black Myth, Wukong. So Wukong also is the Monkey King, like the Monkey King kind of character, even though he himself is not Monkey King, right? So Monkey King is a very famous character inside this book called 西游记. I'm not so sure what is the English translation of 西游记. Can anyone help me with that? Help me find the English translation of 西游记. 有谁可以帮我找一下《西游记》的这个英文名是什么样的吗？最佩服主播的是真的放开什么都聊哈，对，什么都聊。Yeah, yeah. So, Journey to the West. Okay, yeah, sure. Thank you, my friend. Yeah, Journey to the West. Okay. So in China history, we have altogether four very famous novels. Okay, so Journey to the West is one of the biggest four novels. Okay, Asian novels. Okay, Journey to the West has a very famous character, which is Monkey King. Okay, so the whole story of Journey to the West is about a monk. A monk of China is gonna go to a place. I think nowadays it is like India maybe. 他是去取经，其实那个地方今天应该就是印度吧？I think to get the 经文啊。Oh my god, I'm running out of the English words. I'm gonna use the Google Translate to help me with that. Yeah，去西天取经，这个取经咋说呢？Let me see. Let me see how to say it in English. Okay. Yeah. To get this 经文 how to say 经文 Yeah, for a monk 经文 Let me see. Scripture. Scripture. Yeah, scripture. Yeah, so that's a story about this monk traveling from Tang Dynasty all the way to a very far away place, which I think considered that should be like Indian today, to get the real scriptures. Yeah, that's the whole story about Journey to the West. Okay, so on their way, they have met so many different monsters, and Monkey King's role was to protect the monk from being eaten by all the monsters, because there is a saying that if you eat the meat of the monk, you can live 300 years old. Yeah, so yes, India, right? Louis the Cat. Okay. Okay, my knowledge base is good. Okay. Yeah, so the monk, even though it's in even though this monk was in this novel, right? However, in the history, this monk actually really there's really a figure of this monk. Okay, so this monk really exists. He's not like a novel figure. He's like for real. Okay, he's real. Okay, so like back then in Tang Dynasty, basically the emperor just sent him to travel abroad. So he's more like ambassador nowadays, or diplomat. I would consider. So if you're using a modern kind of way of looking at the world, so back then he was basically just a diplomat, right? So traveling on behalf of Tang Dynasty, the Tang China, to some other countries, the back then India, right? In the name of I'm going there to get the scripture. However, it's for real. I think the real purpose was to establish a diplomat kind of relationship between that country and the China. And we also had this very interesting discussion back then, just last week, with my husband about the journey to the West, right? And we were saying that Xuanzang, which is the name of this Chinese monk, okay, Xuanzang, actually, so you only heard about the story of Xuanzang traveling from China to India to get the scripture, like how hard it is. You never heard any story of like how hard it is for him to travel back to China, Tang Dynasty. Have any one of you wondered the reason why? 大家有没有想过，为什么我们只听说过他去取经路上的998难，确实没有听到过他从取完经回来的时候的这么多劫难？ Yeah. So we were actually discussing about it, right? Why, the monk, the name is called Xuanzang, like why he was able to travel from, so we heard so many stories about like him travel from like Tang Dynasty, Tang China to India to get the scriptures, and so many obstacles and so many difficulties happened on the road. However, we didn't hear about any stories about him returning back to China and he met what kind of people, what's the obstacles, you know? It was not very same as like the Han Dynasty, right? For example, in Han Dynasty, Han Wu Dadi, in Emperor Wu of Han, so they also sent a Chinese ambassador, right? Chinese ambassador, which is Zhang Qian, right? So Han Wu Dadi, the Emperor Wu of Han, Han is another dynasty, okay? Han is before Tang Dynasty. So Han Dynasty also sent ambassador from Han China to other countries to also basically do the same thing, right? Send a diplomat called Chang Qian to other countries to establish the kind of country to country relationship, right? The very same thing. So Tang Dynasty sent Xuanzang, the monk, to travel to India and to other countries, right? So for example, Zhang Qian, you heard lots of stories about him that, okay, on his way from Han China to back then Xinjiang, right, the western regions, lots of things happened. And when he returned to Han, also lots of things happened, right? He was kidnapped and was trapped for another 10 years until he was able to find his way back, right? However, for Tang, it was not the same. Tang, you only heard the story of him going out. You never heard the story of him coming back and whatever happened in there. So we discussed about that, and we think that the reason behind is back then Tang Dynasty was so strong. So maybe what happened, so it's our guess, okay, but I think it's probably true, is that Tang was so strong in a way that no matter where the monk went, Xuanzang went, somehow like when he returned, and that area has already become part of Tang China. Because like when, Xuanzang went out, explored this new place, and somehow later on, like China just, oh, it's a nice place. Let's just send our force in there and we're just going to make that part of China as well, and then, expand, expand, expand. So when Xuanzang came back from India to China, he didn't meet any obstacles during the road back to China like he did before, right? Like he encountered so many obstacles from China to India was because like all the land when he returned became China, a part of China. So that's our assumption. So we discuss about that. 经文掉到河里了，原来取到的是假经文。好吧，这个故事我真不知道呀。有一个故事是说，罗马人曾经发现了中国，并派出了使者。Yeah, Anthony, that story was true. Hector Yao. Oh, there's another Hector in here. 说得很好，喜欢主播的自信。Thank you, my friend. If you like my confidence, if you think I'm sharing very interesting stories, definitely follow me, okay? Definitely follow me, please. Okay, follow me. Yeah. So, what was I about to say? So Anthony, you were saying there is a Rome that Roman. Wait, Rome people. What's the English word? Is it Roman? Is it Roman? Right? 罗马人 found China. Yeah, so in China, we also heard about this story about him like finding China, and he even wrote some articles describing what's going on in China, like how big is China. Romans, yeah, thank you. Yeah, about China. Yeah, we also heard about a story about that here in China as well. So yeah, it's pretty mutual. Yeah. Okay, thank you, my friend. Yeah, and also, Yeah, like someone said, like Tang Dynasty has like really good art, right? Someone said that Tang had great art. Eric said that, right? Yeah, yeah. So Tang Dynasty, like I said, there's a country. Tang back then, Tang was a yeah Marco Polo. Yeah, Tang was a very big country that is very strong in economy and also strong in military force, right? And also very rich in culture. And back then in Tang, well, judging from today, back then people in Tang Dynasty are very, how to say, very open when it comes to dressing up, right? Like almost like a Western style, right? So we know like nowadays if you look at how people dress up in the east and how people dress up in the west, right, you would see like in western people, you would like for females, right, they wear usually wear like very low kind of like shirts so that they can show their big boobs, right, and that is considered to be sexy. However, nowadays in china you would rarely see people dress up like that. Like chinese people usually just dress up more conservatively. However, in tang dynasty, their way of dressing up is more like the Western, like very open. Like they also like to show the entire body. And as a matter of fact, in Tang Dynasty, the kind of aesthetic standards back then in Tang Dynasty is that fat is considered to be beautiful. Okay. Unlike today, oh, skinny, the skinnier, the better, the kind of well, I actually don't really like kind of that kind of thing. Okay, fit is good, but skinny is not good. Okay, however, especially in the modeling industry, like people just like to be as skinny as possible, right? And sometimes people even diet to keep their body skinny. However, however back then in Tang Dynasty, being fat, ladies, if you are fat, then that is considered to be beautiful. So I heard of shoulder cuts back in Tang. What is shoulder cuts? Yeah, but you still wear Western clothes? Do I, my friend? No, this is just random t-shirt, right? When I talk about like Western way of dressing is, for example, if you look at all the content creators on TikTok, you would like very often see like many like Western content creators, especially females, wearing clothes that can show part of their boobs, like this, like show part of their boobs, and you don't see a lot of that in China. Well, first of all, that's also because that here in Asia, in China, that many of us don't have like big boobs like the Westerners do. However, overall speaking, when it comes to dressing up, Asian style of dressing up, like Chinese dressing up style of dressing up, is more conservative than the Western. So today's level of dressing, and I would consider to be definitely more conservative than back then in Tang Dynasty. 唐朝还是很开放的，我感觉唐朝非常的开放。So when you have a society that is very open in many things, then there will also be lots of like literature or lots of art, those kind of creative stuff coming out, right? Similar to the Renaissance period, right, in the West. Right, during the Renaissance, that was also the period of time in the West that the whole society is pretty open to many kind of different mindsets, many different ideas, right? So that's why you have so many poets coming out and making poems like during, and also so many painters like paint so many beautiful paintings, right, back then during the Western like Renaissance period, right? So Tang Dynasty in China is also like that. Tang Dynasty is also like that. 武则天也挺开放，你在说他的男宠是吗？对吧？Yeah. So Tang Dynasty is also pretty much just like the Chinese Renaissance period. Okay. So there are so many poets in Tang Dynasty. So if you look at different dynasties, each dynasty there are like poets that who are able to write really good poems. Somehow the Tang poems are most famous. So for example, many people probably don't know, and here in China, every babies, when they reach the age of 3, when they are able to talk, so the parents would then start to teach their children to recite Tang poems, 唐诗300首，对吧？小宝宝3岁开始能讲话了，爸妈就教他去背唐诗了。他可以不知道唐诗是什么意思，但是他要去学会去背。So the babies, the 3-year-old babies, could not understand a little of anything about this Tang poem. He has no idea what this Tang poem means, 但是他要去学会去背。So the babies, the 3-year-old babies, could not understand a little of anything about this Tang poem. He has no idea what this Tang poem means, but he or she needs 那个骆宾王的那个应该不是唐朝的吧？哎呦，完蛋了，这个语文没学好。 Yeah, Tang was before Song Dynasty. Yeah, yeah. Tang Song Yuan Ming Qing. Yeah, yeah. You're right, Mark. Tang and then followed by Song and followed by Yuan, followed by Ming, followed by Qing. Okay, we call it Tang Song Yuan Ming Qing. These are the dynasties in China. Yeah, I've heard that Taylor Swift kind of swiped her lyrics from some Chinese poems. Oh, really? Really? Yeah. So Tang poems. So well, I shared multiple times. To be honest, when I was little, when I studied, right, I was really good at science, and when it comes to liberal art, it was not so good. So that also include like my Chinese was not good, right? So that's why like back then when I was studying all the poems back then in senior high school and junior high school, I never really understand the beauty of all those poems. However, when I really grow up and started to see the world and understand many things, and then I started to comprehend the meaning of those kind of poems, and I started to understand the beauty of all those poems. And I have to say, the beauty of those Tang poems are really, really good, really, really nice. Yeah，我现在才能够慢慢明白唐诗是多么美的，多么多么美的一种诗啊！真的，小的时候真的不懂，小时候语文不行嘛，语文不好，其他的数学啊、物理、化学都很好，就是中文不好，语文不好。所以小时候不懂。But when I really grow up, really, I have really seen the world. For example, I have been to the places those poets wrote the poems when about those kind of places, right? For example, when they've been to some mountains and they wrote some poem about this mountain, right? I've never been to those mountains. When I read this poem, then I have no feeling about it. When 哦，骆宾王也是唐朝的。OK，好，谢谢，那太好了，那确实是都是唐诗了。OK，谢谢 No Talk。Yeah, and also like if I've been to the mountain and I then start to read the kind of poems written by the poet back then, stand on the exact same place that I was and write the very nice poem and start to understand the meaning behind the poem and to understand like how beautiful this poem is. Yeah, so that is actually 他们的教育什么东西啊？是的，他们是你 Yasmin, I've heard that Taylor Swift kind of well Yasmin okay, well, yeah. Still don't quite understand what you're saying, but are you actually saying that Taylor Swift is stealing from China? Well, I wouldn't call it stealing if she's just trying to get some inspiration from the Chinese poems to write her lyrics. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, okay. Thank you, Kitty, for sharing this live. Yeah. And guys, follow me, please. Do you read Asian Chinese? What do you mean by ancient Chinese? So if you are saying about like traditional Chinese, yes, I do. But if you're talking about those 甲骨文, those like extremely ancient Chinese figures, then I don't. I doubt like very few Chinese can do that unless it's 考古学家. 考古学家. What's the 考古学家? What's 考古学家? Is it anthropologist? But that is 人类学家. 考古学家. How to say 考古学家? Archaeologist. Unless you're an archaeologist, otherwise you're not able to understand the ancient Chinese. However, Asian Chinese is very interesting. I'm gonna show you guys, okay? Asian Chinese is very interesting. So the other day I saw it, okay? So I'm gonna show you guys, okay? 这个可能中国人也不知道 Probably some Chinese people don't know about it either, okay? So for example, in China, we actually call sheep and goat the very same thing, which is yang, okay? Which is yang 啊，这个写的稍微对称一点哈，看着有点不太对称。羊 Okay. Chinese people when we say sheep or goat, even though like in your in Western world, like sheep and goat are two different things. However, in China, sheep and goat we are both called yang. Okay, it's written like this. So I remember seeing like in Asian Chinese, it's written like this. It's written like this. This is Asian Chinese. Yeah, so this is Asian Chinese and this is modern Chinese. I'm not so sure whether this is absolutely correct, okay? However, this does look like a sheep, right? You have like two horns, right? Two horns. And then like you have a face, right? It does look like a sheep, right? And so somehow this word, you know, 进化 oh my god, running out of the English word today. 完蛋了，这个英文卡壳了。这个词怎么说呢？从这个 evolute to this word, right? Is that in right English word? from this to this nowadays. So that's how we write sheep nowadays. Yeah. Very interesting, right, my friend? Evolve. Yeah, yeah, evolve. Right, right. Evolve. Yeah. Thank you, my friend. Evolve. So somehow like evolved from this to this. Yeah, evolved from this to this. Thank you, Elite. Yeah, like drawing. Yeah. Like drawing, exactly like drawing. Yeah. So that's why like many foreigners say that, oh, okay. I feel like when I read Chinese, I feel like I'm just reading you guys are seems like every Chinese characters are just like painting. And also it's so interesting some all of a sudden from 1 year, okay, but that's like many years ago, like somehow one Chinese found a Chinese word that is written like this, that is written like this. And this word is called zhong. And then it looks like a face, right? A frowning face, right? It looks like a frowning face. Somehow nowadays people just say like if whenever they're very embarrassing, they just like I am this, I am this, This somehow just one day, because when I was like really little, when I was in primary school, I don't see this word. I've never seen this word. I've never seen people use this word. It's just from all of a sudden, from 1 year, someone saw this face, saw this Chinese character, and said like, "Oh my god, this is such a funny character. This person, this face is like frowning, right?" And somehow this word becomes so popular. You will see people use it everywhere. So whenever people are having a very embarrassing situation, they would say like, "Oh, 我很囧." Yeah, 我很囧. Like, "Oh, I'm actually having a very embarrassing time." Yeah, because that is a like really embarrassing face, right? So we have lots of like really funny Chinese characters, and somehow Chinese people use them. And also in China, they say there are two words that actually mix. This is more for Chinese, OK？这个可能只有中国人能懂哈。有两个词，大家如果这个用稍微中文讲一下，大家如果用手写一下射手的射，射手的射，然后再写矮，大家自己手上写一下，自己手上写一下，你会发现这两个词好像是反的，因为好像射手的射是生寸，这个词才应该意思是矮，但你要看这个写那个矮那个字，好像又是一个人在射箭。It's very interesting if you look at both. So it's there's also saying there's a mix of the two. Yeah. So yeah. So Chinese is also very interesting, and it's basically just like drawing, and she can switch back and forth between English and Chinese with no accent. Impressive. Oh, thank you, Eric. 我毕业于黑龙江大学。哦，是吗？黑龙江大学。What's in the cup? Just plain water. There's no nothing in it. However, I'm cooking my herbal tea in the living room. So today's herbal tea is yeah. 对，射手和矮，你看一下那个射字，射字是生寸，其实应该是矮的意思，对不对？但是你看“矮”这个字，是不是感觉像是一个人跪着在射箭？是不是这两个词感觉好像是反了的？我记得我们当时有人说 "This important." No, no, I did it myself, my friend. I just put the barleys in the water last night and have it soaked in water for the entire night. And this morning, I just, in China we have this kind of thing called 养生壶, so that you could just automatically have it boil some tea for you without worrying about the time. So I set up like I'm gonna just boil it for 30 minutes. So that teapot is just gonna boil it automatically by itself. So the moment I wake up, just press the button and it's just gonna boil. Yeah. Now everyone is saying which university they are graduating from. Yeah, amazing. But I like it today. Yeah. So we are talking a lot about yeah, and so not sure who raised this question, which who asked me like which dynasty back then do I want to travel? That's a great question. And thank you, Hector, for reminding me to read that question. That's definitely a very interesting question so that we're able to elaborate so much more on this topic. Okay. I really like it. Yeah. And guys, follow me, please, if you haven't done so. Okay. Follow me, please, if you haven't done so. And keep on tapping the screen to send in likes. Okay. Yeah. Keep on tapping the screen to send in likes. Yeah. Let me see. My country provides free Mandarin class. Would I get by throughout all China with it? Uh, well, it's amazing that your country provides free Mandarin class. May I ask which country are you from, Dom? Yeah, I'd be curious to know like which country is so nice to provide their citizens free Mandarin class, like so eager to have their citizens learn Chinese. That is amazing. Would I get by throughout all China with it? So, yes, like all the Chinese people speak Mandarin, except Hong Kong people speak Cantonese, but many of them can also speak in Mandarin. Yeah, so Mandarin is used across different areas. So you might see people with very strong accent, but they do understand Mandarin. Yeah, and here. Yeah. So I learned something on here. If you write on plagiglass the words with backward, what do you mean? Yeah, don't quite understand. Yeah. Okay. Guys, follow me. Yeah. So also like there's something I also want to share. Okay. Is Christy Little C in here? Christy 小 C 你在吗？在的话，录个掌，录个手好吗？Yeah，因为昨天你问了我这个问题，我觉得我还有一些多的想要去分享的。Yeah. So there's a follower called Christy Little C asked me the day before yesterday about like how to practice your presentation skills, your public speaking skills, right? And also how to be as eloquent as me. Okay. So I still think like I need a lot to improve. Okay. So I feel like she is here. Yeah, I saw her. Yeah, Hector, I saw her. Yeah. So I shared yesterday about, the kind of suggestions that how to structure everything to make your speech easier for people to comprehend, also for you yourself easier to express yourselves, right? So like there are some other advice. Okay, I really think very hard, very deep about that, and there are further kind of further plexiglass is like clear plastic. If you write on it, we will see mirror image. Oh, right. I understand it now. I understand it. Okay, yeah, I understand it. So, for example, if I have a glass, I write in here, I take it. You guys see from the backwards, so that's why you can see it in the mirror image, right? Yeah. Sure. That's actually a very good suggestion. Yeah, I'm gonna look for the plexi glass, right? Plexi, what's it called? Plexiglass, right? Plexiglass. Yeah, I'm gonna look for it and see if I can find one so that whenever I write, I just show you guys and you immediately see the mirror side, right? Yeah, that's gonna be easier for me. Yeah. Okay. So Chrissy, yesterday I shared about the structures, right? How you can structure your presentation. So there are some other kind of suggestions I have. Okay. So if you really want to practice your presentation skill, your public speaking skills, there's one thing you can do on your daily life. Okay, just practice it. So for example, a lot of us would like have formed this habit of watching videos, short videos, right? For example, scrolling a red note, scrolling TikTok, right? How many of you guys really like being on social media and watch different videos? For sure, you guys are, right? Otherwise, there's no way you're in here to watch my live stream, right? So, for example, some of those kind of live streaming, well, wait, actually, some of those kind of videos are about telling you a story or sharing you an opinion, right? For example, some of the videos are, for example, are very viral here in China is about introducing a movie very short, even though a movie is 2 to 3 hours long. However, they make it so short so that they can finish introducing an entire movie for 5 minutes. And like you would see those kind of videos. Have you guys seen those kind of videos? I do enjoy seeing those kind of videos. Okay, so for example, there are other kind of videos where like someone's just sharing an opinion, right? For example, I post lots of videos like that, right? I post lots of videos of I myself sharing my opinions on different matters to you guys, right? And there can be all sorts of videos. There are also some funny videos where some people just did something to another person and somehow something really hilarious happened. Okay, so one of the practice you could do for training your public speaking, your presentation skill, is whenever you see something interesting, see something you find it interesting. Once you see it, 这个女人叫小美，对，是的，通常就是什么小美啊、小帅啊，对吧？No talk. Yeah. When after you have watched something very funny, 那个男的叫大壮，对，大壮，要有一个大壮，有个小帅，你看的不少啊，No talk，看了不少啊。Yeah. So after you have watched anything very interesting, there's one practice you can do, which is you share the same thing to your friends, to your husband, wives, on the very same thing you just watched. However, when you want to share it in a very structured way. Okay. For example, you have just watched a movie, like a briefing of a movie, right? On the social media. the person has already summarized everything. So it's not like you have watched a 2 hour movie, you have to summarize it, okay? Because someone has already summarized it using 5 minutes. So you're basically just gonna summarize the 5 minutes again into a 2 minutes kind of sharing to your friends, okay? So when you are gonna share it, you have to share it in a very structured way, okay? Just that's a very good practice, okay? So for example, that is very good. First of all, like I said, that will help you to practice how you can elaborate yourself, right? You have already seen something, and then when you share it in a very structured way. So first of all, that practice is your way to elaborate yourself, right? And the second thing is once you have shared yourself, the kind of thing you learned from that video also was like deeper in your brain, right? So, for example, for me, I share a lot about like my knowledge about the Xinjiang, right? What happened back then in Xinjiang? Back then, it was a nation called Rouzhi, and somehow because the ambassador reached there, and then they become blah 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 part of China. Eventually, Tianlong Emperor gave it a new name, which means a new land, which is called Xinjiang, something like that, right? As a matter of fact, I watched this video that introduced the history of Xinjiang just a few days ago before I shared about it in the live stream, right? By a content creators who share about this part of history and his social media account. So after seeing that, I comprehend it, I try to digest it, and then what I did, I shared it in my own way in the live stream, using my own very structured way to share you guys what happened before, what happened now, and eventually, what becomes today. Okay. So after I did that, first of all, I practiced my way of speaking, right? Public speaking, presentation. And second, after I shared it, I really, really memorized the history. It's not like, okay, I watched the video, the very next day I just forgot everything. After I repeated myself using my own way in a very structured way, I just remember everything. Yeah. Yeah, it's a really good practice. So if you haven't done it, definitely do it, okay? So like yesterday I have already shared it, but I'm going to share it again, okay? So one way of making good presentation and have good public speaking ability is when you want to share anything. First of all, you need to first of all find a topic that is not too broad. Okay. Sometimes people would have this kind of problem that is just finding a too broad kind of topic, then they can elaborate so many things under the very same topic and somehow they just got very 怎么说呢 like confuse themselves like, oh, I'm on this part, all of a sudden I'm on that part, oh, I'm going back to this part, like everything was some so messed up and so not structured. So first of all, when you select what topic you want to share with people, definitely narrow it down to a topic that is small enough that you could just share basically within like half an hour or like 1 hour, like you can just basically share everything. Okay, so choosing the right topic is very important. That's the first step to be a very successful public speaker, like to make a very successful presentation. Okay, that's the first step. Okay, so afterwards, once you have decided on a topic that is good enough, then you have to express your views in a very structured way. So you have to first of all come up with a major opinion. Okay, what's your biggest opinion on it? Okay, so under this opinion, what is your second thought, your first thought, your second thought, your third thought? What's your sub opinions? And under each opinions, you're going to then support with examples, support with quotes, support with other kind of things. Okay, yeah. For example, just now we have shared a lot about like, oh, if there is an dynasty that I can go back, which dynasty would I want to go back, right? So first of all, my major opinion is what? My major opinion is that I want to go back to Tang dynasty, right? So that's my major opinion. So there must be some sub opinions, right? The first sub opinion is I said, I want to go back to the Tang Dynasty because that is the time that China has strongest economy and strongest military force, right? So that's my first sub opinion. So under that sub opinion, I used stories to support that sub opinions, which is what I used the quote, the story of Xuanzang visiting like an Asian Indian, right, to get the scriptures, right? And like on his way there, he met lots of obstacles. However, when he returned, there's no obstacles. Why? Because Tang was so strong that it actually expanded the land to the areas that the monk has visited. So that is why that, no longer need to face all those challenges that he faced when he comes there. So that's actually an example showing how strong Tang is, right? So the second sub opinion I then shared is that I feel like Tang is a dynasty I want to visit because it is very open when it comes to culture. And also, so I said that, back then, the kind of example I used to support that sub opinion is that what I said, that yeah, back then, like females dress up, like they dress up very openly, right? It's not like today people dress up relatively conservative, but back then females are never shy about showing their body. And also fat is considered to be a beautiful aesthetic standard, right? Not skinny, right? People, the fatter, the beautiful, the more beautiful, right? So I said those kind of examples to support my second sub opinion, right? And what's my third opinion? My third sub opinion is that, okay, I think also that is like Tang was like the dynasty, like the Western Renaissance, which is very like open when it comes to welcoming people to share their mindsets, their opinions, their ideas, right? And because of there are so many poets coming out during that period of time and making so many good poems, right? That is my the third sub opinion, and also later on supported with story, right? Because there are so many poems and good poems in Tang Dynasty compared with other dynasties. So that's why, like, when the children nowadays, when they reach the age of 3, the parents would ask all of them to start to read Tang poems, the 300 Tang poems from little, right? You never heard that like ask them to recite like 300 song poems, right? Or 300 Ming poems. It's always like 300 Tang poems, right? It's because Tang Dynasty is the dynasty that has so many great poets, right? And then in conclusion, that okay, Tang Dynasty is the kind of dynasty I want to travel back. Okay, so even though I did not do it in a very structured way, that I say everything like so first, second, third. So under first, then what? Under second, what? Under third, what? But like when I explain everything, you guys can see whenever I share anything, it's actually shared in a very structural way. Can you guys see it? Yeah. 啊，可以感受到吗？我这样解释了一下，你可以感受到吗？Yeah. And as a matter of fact, I didn't do it on purpose. It's not like in my brain I have this kind of thinking, oh, okay, I'm gonna share about this topic and I'm gonna first, second, third. There's nothing like that because I have already formed this habit. No matter what I share, I just have this kind of structure already like implanted in my brain. So whenever I shared it, it's automatically very structured. It's not like writing an essay. I have to do it on purpose. Like I have to be really thinking, how can I make it like in a very structured way. So I no longer do that because the brain has been trained to think very structurally and very logically. So that's why whenever I share, I also do it in a very structurally and very logically. Yeah. So that's why I say that one way of doing that, train yourself. So Christy Little see like really good advice to you is that if you really want to practice your public speaking, one thing you can do is whenever you watch a video, like it's a very funny, you'll see someone said an opinion, just try to share the very same thing. 那好像聊八卦一样的嘛 to your friends, right? Share the same 八卦 to your friend. You heard about a 八卦 about a person, like some gossips about one person, right? Oh, what happened to his wife? Oh, oh, his wife cheated on the husband. What? Something like that. Those kind of gossip stories. Even though you're sharing the gossip stories, just try to share it in a very structured way. Okay, so you don't do it in a very when you share it in your brain, you can have this structure. If I'm going to share the story about a wife cheating on his husband, first of all, I come up with a conclusion, which is, you know what? Mike's wife cheated on him. That's the first opinion, right? And then then start with the story, right? Okay, so what I heard is the other night, what happened? Oh, then he was out and someone caught her. His wife brought a man back home, something like that. A very brief, story, right? And then you will start then, oh, I think the reason why his wife cheated on him is because that he, to be honest, is not a really good husband. You know what? He never cared for his wife. That's the first sub opinion, right? And the second sub opinion is what? The second sub opinion is like, yeah. However, well, actually, I think like the better way is not to cheat on his husband. Maybe the wife could just have a good conversation with her and maybe discuss about divorce, and that may be even a fairer solution to that, right? Then you can also like then later on come to the third kind of opinion, which is, however, also that might not be so easy for the lady because she has no source of income. So That's why she has to rely on her husband to provide the like monthly salary to her. So probably that's the reason why she cannot leave her husband. But she doesn't really love him, so that's why she cheated on her, something like that. Even sharing a gossip story, it can also be a very structured way, right? You can see it, right? Okay. So that is also you sound funny, yeah. Just trying to use some like very vivid examples to show you guys like how to do it, okay? Yeah, so how to do it. It's not that hard. It's just practice your public speaking by spreading gossip. Just well, it's not it's not practice your public speaking by spreading gossip. It's just like based on what you like to talk every day, okay? Based on what you like to talk every day, it's just like girls overall speaking like to spread gossip, right? I'm not saying like you, Christy, likes to spread gossip. I'm not saying I like to spread gossip, right? So it's just like in human nature that people like to gossip. There's some content creators, like a very interesting type of content creators, and their social media account. They basically just do one thing, which is gossiping while doing makeups, right? They were just like having like makeups and at the same time say, you know what, doing something like, you know what, my dad just recently married my best friend, and my best friend approached me because she just wanted to date my dad, something like that. To be honest, oh, even though um those kind of videos are pretty not nutritious at all, basically just gossiping. But from time to time, I do enjoy watching those kind of gossip as well. It's just human nature, right? Yeah. So I was saying, like, no matter what kind of things you like to share with others, like I myself really like to share with others. I really like to share. I think I consider myself to be an inborn salesperson. Like I like to share the kind of things I have heard. I'd like to share the great products I have used. Like I really like to share, right? So whenever I share, I just try to use kind of a structure, and after a while, you would notice that you have great improvements when it comes to sharing, and you when it comes to talking, and you become a lot more logical, a lot more structured, and then later on then go to public speaking in front of like a large crowd, then you have no fear at all and you're able to express yourself so well. Yeah. Yeah, so what do you think about toxic fandoms, Chinese celebrities? I have no knowledge about that. What is toxic fandoms, Chinese celebrities? I don't know what's that. Yeah. It's only funny when it happens to others. Yeah, I know it's only funny when it happens to others. If it happens to ourselves, and that's not funny at all. Yeah. To be honest, like back then, when I was working in like the large company, right? People gossip a lot in the office. I don't really gossip. I usually am the one who's the last one to hear something. Yeah. Yeah, but sometimes I don't know. Gossip can be good or bad. Gossip is bad in a way that it's pretty, how to say, when you're gossiping, you're basically just talking nonsense, right? Nothing important to life. And however, gossiping can also make our life a lot relaxing, right? When you talk about others, and also makes the person you're gossiping with closer to you somehow. Yeah. 看着不喜欢，对，确实我不是一个很喜欢 gossip 的人，不太 gossip。Yeah, yeah. Is it hard? Is it hard becoming neutralized in China? What's the question, my friend? The grammar is not right. What's becoming neutralized in China, my friend? Yeah, gossiping is not my thing. A really interesting thing. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, if you spend lots of time gossiping, you're basically having less time for other meaningful things. So I don't gossip a lot. Well, however, having said that, still like gossip for a little bit is fine with me. Yeah. Yeah, water cooler talk. What is water cooler talk, my friend? Yeah. What's the water cooler talk? But you must be an introvert person, aren't you? You're saying that I'm an introvert person? No, I'm a super, super extrovert person. I am very, very extrovert. I am 100% extrovert. The thing that I don't gossip a lot is because when you gossip, it's like mutual way, right? It's never about like you always listen. So for example, if you always listen, you never tell gossips, then the people who always share all the gossips with you, then eventually would not like to share his or her gossip with you anymore. It always has to be mutual. Even though I really enjoy hearing gossips, okay, I admit that I really like to hear gossip, but I myself don't share gossip to others, okay? So for example, I remember back then in my last job, there was a girl like who was like dating another guy secretly in the office. And so I was like one of the first one to know about it, because the one who discovered that was like really close to me. So he came up to me and said like, you know what, someone is dating someone secretly, you know what, but that lady, she is married, something like that. I really enjoy listening to that. However, I would never spread the gossip to others. So I don't spread gossip. I only listen. I really enjoy listening. However, I don't spread. So to be honest, the gossip people, they like to hang out with people who also like to spread gossip. So that's why they later on just don't hang out with me. So that's why, I'm not always the one to get the latest gossips and office. As a matter of fact, yeah, 只进不出。对，我是那种只进不出的人，所以到最后消息也不是很灵通，消息也不是很灵通。Yeah, but I'm definitely an extrovert. Definitely an extrovert. Neutralize means becoming a citizen of a country. Wait, what's your question again? Let me see. Let me see. What's your question? I need to find back. Is it hard to become neutralized in China? Oh, so are you asking like, is it hard to get Chinese citizenship? Yeah. Should multiple times, it's definitely hard. It's very, very hard. So, well, if you really like China, just come to China first. Okay, just come to China first, and come to China to first of all, see if you like living here. Okay, like in here. Jincy, be nice, okay? If you say that ever again, I'm gonna kick you out, okay? Jincy, yeah, don't do that, okay? So the crowd in here are really good, okay? The crowd in here are really polite, and we're having lots of meaningful discussions. I don't welcome any not so nice comments, okay? Jincy, don't ever say that again. If you dare say that again, I'm pretty sure not I will kick you out. The rest of people, we're just gonna attack you back, okay? The crowd, we are a very close community in here, okay? People in here are really good community, okay? We're all very nice, okay? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So yeah，人气票好的行呀，你们提早五分钟来提醒我哈，非常棒，谢谢你们。Okay, guys, it's almost 9. Okay, 9 o'clock is the time that we're gonna raise our ranking. Okay, we're gonna have to raise our ranking. So starting from now, my friends, I'm gonna ask you all of you guys to do me a favor, which is first of all follow me, and second tap the screen to sending likes. Okay, just keep on tapping the screen to sending likes. Okay, I'm gonna set a target for every one of you. Every one of you send me more than 500 likes. Okay, just keep on tapping the screen for the next 5 minutes. Keep on tapping the screen and send me 500 likes. That's not hard, my friend. And also, most importantly, definitely hamburger. What's hamburger? Why hamburger? Yeah, and also join my team. For those of you who haven't joined my team, one way of joining my team is first of all, you definitely need to follow me. Once you follow me, the follow button, and here becomes another button, which is a heart. Okay, this heart button. Okay, so this heart button, then you're just gonna press this heart button again to join my team. Okay, this one, join my team. And also down below, there's another button on Rednote called interaction 互动. Let me see in here. Yeah, 互动 in here, right? So this button here, just press it like a leaf, right? Press it, and then there's a 人气票. Yeah. Oh, thank you. That's a very lovely flower. Thank you, Louis the cat. Yeah. And yes, just try to follow me. Just tap the screen to send me likes. And everyone join my team. Everyone sent me this yellow ticket, 人气票. Okay, help me to get a higher ranking. We have 3 more minutes to go. 3 more minutes to go. Okay, guys, follow me, please. And then second, follow me, please. And second, tap the screen to sending likes. Everyone, on average, I hope you give me 500 likes, okay? On average, everyone, just keep on tapping the screen to give me 500 likes. And also join my team if you haven't done so, okay? Join my team if you haven't done so. And also, please send me this yellow tickets on Rednote, okay? So follow you, no hamburger. Wait, what happens to hamburger? Like, why hamburger? Why you like hamburger? Yeah. So yeah, send me this yellow tickets, which is 人气票, which is also good. Oh, we're 26. Fantastic. Oh, 3 more minutes to go. Let's see if we can reach top 10. Okay. Yeah, let's see if we can reach top 10. Whether we can reach top 10. Okay. Just guys, keep on tapping the screen. So have you finished your 500 likes quota? If not, just keep on tapping the screen to send in likes, and also join my team. And guys, follow me, please, if you haven't done so. Okay. Follow me, please, if you haven't done so. And also join my team once you have followed me. Okay. Have you joined my team, my friend? just click this button again. Okay, click this button again. This button, and here, once you join the team, it becomes a red heart, and click again. That's how you're able to join my team. Okay, after joining my team, there is also down below, there's a button called interaction, which looks like a leaf on red note, and just press that. That's where you can send this yellow tickets, which is 人气票, and that's going to make this live stream have a higher ranking so that more people can see this. It can be pushed to more people's For You page. Okay, guys, join my team, follow me, and tapping the screen to send the likes. I know many of you guys like me a lot. I know you guys like me a lot. Yeah, so just keep on doing it. 2 minutes to go. Oh my god, we're one ranking behind. Yeah, previously we were 26, now 27. So we have to be harder, my friend. 2 more minutes to go. 2 more minutes to go. Yeah, 2 more minutes to go, and we'll be able to get back. We'll be able to get back. Yeah, so guys, follow me please and join my team. Tap the screen. Everyone tap the screen for 500 times, okay? Which is not hard, okay? Just keep on tapping it and you'll be able to get me like 500 likes. And also join my team. And also there's another button down here called interaction. Just send me this 人气票 yellow tickets. They're gonna push this live stream to a higher ranking. Love you guys. You guys are all amazing. And 1 more minute to go. 1 more minute to go. And we all be good. 1 minute to go. So JT, I'll answer your question after this, okay? Yeah, just guys keep on doing it. 1 more minute. 1 more minute, okay? 1 more minute. Just keep on tapping the screen for 1 more minute. And after the 1 more minute, we're just gonna be back to normal, okay? Join my team and follow me if you haven't done so. First of all, follow me and tap the screen to follow. Tap the screen to sending likes, and also click the button to join, to follow me, and then join the team. Join the team, and after done that, just send me the yellow tickets, which is 人气票, by pressing this button down below called interaction, so that afterwards this oh, okay, got it. Thank you, my friend. Yeah. Nice. Yeah, we've done it again, my friend. We have done it again. You guys are amazing. Thank you. 太棒了，大家。You guys are amazing. You guys are amazing. Mm-hmm. You guys are absolutely amazing. Okay, lots of kisses from me. Lots of kisses from me. Okay, thank you, my friend. Yeah. So someone asked, can J Taste ask me like what happened yesterday? What happened yesterday is that, you know, unfortunately, even though we are having a lot of fun time during a live stream, but my phone all of a sudden went out of battery. Okay, ran out of battery. So I was like so enjoying this conversation about hemorrhoid, right? A very smelly topic about hemorrhoid. Yeah, somehow people really like the story. Yeah, somehow yesterday, because on TikTok it was pretty rare for me to get an online audience of over 100, even 120 audience, right? But yesterday, that's how many people I got, like on live at the same time. And then people really like this kind of topic. And somehow, like all of a sudden, in the middle, phone ran out of battery. Yeah, it was. I also got lots of new followers on TikTok yesterday as well. Yeah. So wait, but why people like the topic of hemorrhoids? Because everyone got it. Like like everyone has hemorrhoid. Yeah, I was sharing the story basically because I want to share like the healthcare system difference between healthcare system like in China and the West, right? Somehow like when I talk the relatable, I guess, yeah. Like no matter young or old, many people just have hemorrhoid problems, right? Yeah, 印度尼西亚巴厘岛婆罗洲的早晨好。哇塞，好羡慕你啊！你在巴厘岛，真开心啊！我也想去巴厘岛。Did you cut your hair? No, I didn't. I haven't cut my hair for a long time. Didn't have time to go to hair salon. I basically just do my hair myself. Yeah. Let me standing. Should have known you would be on TikTok. What does that mean, my friend? I guess that is good. Nitrous. Is that why you never came to our wedding? What were you saying? Like your wedding? What happened? Yeah. Uh Happy. I don't think it's in the blood DNA. What? Like it's in the blood DNA for someone to have an hemorrhoid? It's like a kind of a gene thing to have it? Is that what you're saying, my friend? Yeah. Was my gift being blocked? I sent one kiss but never appeared on screen. Oh, it's not blocked, JT. So you sent it, I can see it. It's just that I'm right now doing live streaming on laptop. So that's why like people send the gifts that it doesn't show on the screen, but I can see it. I can definitely see it. Yeah. Somehow, okay. Yeah, so yesterday we discussed it. So there's also since we talked about this story yesterday about this dude, right? I have this friend, even though I met him for the very first time. Okay, so since there are many new joiners, I'm going to share this same story again, and we're going to elaborate a bit more on that. Okay, so I have this very funny friend. So I met him for the very first time, and we all of a sudden started discussing over a dinner. Okay, even though it's a very smelly kind of topic, we were discussing it over dinner. Okay, so we had a dinner and he was brought by another friend of mine, and we were saying that which country has the best medical system. Okay, and so just so you know, like in many Chinese people's mind, we thought that the Western world has the most advanced medical system. Like the Western world's people have like the best medical appliances, best doctors. And he then later on just said that it's not true, because back then when he was in Germany, and he worked in Germany for a very long time, and he said he was in Germany and he had this big province of hemorrhoid. Yeah. And somehow hemorrhoid was a big province everywhere, right? Lots of people have the same problem of hemorrhoid. And when you have a too big hemorrhoid, one of the you definitely need to do is go to the doctor and do a surgery to remove the hemorrhoid. Otherwise, it's going to be so painful, right? So his hemorrhoid grows so big, then has to visit the hospital and see a doctor. Somehow the doctor in Germany has never seen such a big hemorrhoid. So what happened is his doctor, then asked the doctor next door to come over to see his hemorrhoid. And then that the doctor next door have never seen the same big size of hemorrhoid as well. So what he did is that, okay, that second next door doctor asked the entire crew of the intern doctors to come over to see the hemorrhoid together. So basically, my friend was just lying on the bed inside the room of the hospital with nothing down below, with his legs open like a frog, okay, like a frog, right? And there are a bunch of doctors just looking at everything below him. Well, the major target is definitely the big hemorrhoid, because like nobody of them have seen it. And then later on, of course, because they got to enjoy his other parts as well, right? Because there's nothing down below, right? And also, it was like totally embarrassing, because some of the doctors are like male, some doctors are female, right? And some females are even young students, right? Because they are intern doctors, like basically just university students. And they are just basically looking at him like he's lying on the bed like an animal, right? With his legs open, and like letting everyone just watch his hemorrhoids, right? So they ask for his consent. You know what? The thing is that, because they were saying that, oh, you know what, I have to ask all the doctors to come here to take a look, because I don't have experience of treating that, right? So you have to say yes, because if you don't have the experience to treat it, it would be better if you can find someone who has the experience to treat it, right? So the more doctors you bring, the higher the chance there's a doctor who has experience of treating it, can then come over and see it and say like, hey, I can do the surgery, or I know how to treat it, right? So they would do that, right? So eventually what happened is that he's just like an animal lying on the bed, and wearing nothing down below, and open his leg just like a frog, and basically just exposed everything, including his male parts as well as his big hemorrhoids, to everyone inside the room. So everyone was just watching that, right? So, and unfortunately after that, put some cream on it or cut it off. Yeah, so basically there are two ways, right? Either put some cream on it or cut it off. Daniel, you're very experienced. Do you have hemorrhoid? Happened to my husband, right? Yeah, many people have that. Because I also shared yesterday, because there's a saying in China that 十男九只嘛, out of 10 people, 9 got hemorrhoid problems, right? So that's what happened to him. So like he was so embarrassed by all the doctors for sure, right? And afterwards, what happened is that even though something happened like that, however, the doctor didn't give him very good advice, because doctor didn't know how to treat it, even though there's so many doctors in the same room watching it, but none of them have the experience of treating it. So basically they didn't even give him any cream to apply, because they don't have this kind of cream, they don't know what cream to apply for it, right? And also they said that just go back home and rest, and we're just going to treat it very conservative. Okay, just try to lie down and rest. That's how you're going to treat your hemorrhoid. Okay, so according to the Chinese medical system, that's not working at all. Just by resting itself is not going to treat your hemorrhoid, right? So we shared a lot yesterday, like what are the things people should do in order to treat hemorrhoid. So resting is definitely not an effective way, right? But basically, that's the kind of advice that his doctor gave him. So he still have to go back home, suffering from like very severe like hemorrhoid problems, like so painful down below. And then later on, like he flew back to China, and went to just a random hospital and saw the dick doctor immediately. And just so you guys know that in the hospital here in China, anyone can just go, and you don't need to make an appointment, and you don't need to go to a clinic to get an introduction letter from a clinic doctor or your family doctor before going to a hospital. Okay, because I know in some other countries, like in order to visit a doctor in a large hospital, you'll first need like introduction letter from your personal family doctor, and also you have to make an appointment, something like that. But here in China, you can just, even for travelers, yeah, even for travelers, if you see a hospital, you just walk in and you can just see a doctor. So it's like very efficient. So basically what he did, my friend, is like he just came back to China and just visit a hospital, no appointment, nothing at all. So he just walked into the hospital and said that hey, I have hemorrhoid problems, so which department should I go? And like he registered, pay the fee, and then went to see the 老公外国佬嘛，不是老公中国人东北哥们儿，长春的。So that's how he was able to see the doctor immediately. So the other day, so that day he went to see this Chinese doctor here in China. That doctor was actually an intern doctor. So he didn't get to see this doctor, but an intern doctor. And the intern doctor said, okay, lie down, I'm gonna take a look. And intern doctor saw it and said, okay, it's just very commonly seen in here, just a hemorrhoid. Well, you have two options. First of all, you can wait for the doctor to come back, which is in the afternoon. So you have to wait for a few more hours, or I can just do the surgery for you. So even though I'm an intern doctor, but I have done so many surgeries of removing the hemorrhoids that I can do that for you, and that should take less than half an hour. If you don't want to suffer from it anymore, just let me do it, and I'll do it right now and help you remove it. If you want to find a better doctor to do it, then wait till the afternoon till the doctor come in and he can do the surgery for you. So there's like no preparation before. You don't need to do this, do that, like lots of things in advance. They just cut it and the surgery is done. So like super super efficient. Like he was amazed by how efficient the China's medical system is, like the healthcare system is. Like right, you just get to see the doctor immediately, and on the very same day they can just you know do a surgery on you and help you with everything. So like he's like seriously amazed by that. And also like personally, I also have the kind of experience of seeing doctors abroad as well, right? So I remember back then when I was visiting Australia for traveling, I also went to their hospital, right? And I also stayed in the hospital for 2 weeks. For well 1 week, 1 week or 2 weeks. I forgot it's 1 week or 2 weeks because I got a pretty bad flu back then. I think back then was swine flu or what flu? Like I got a pretty bad flu. When is China going to release the million of Uyghurs? So you know what, my friend, you have to really come to China to see many things with your own eyes. Okay, there are lots of history reasons around that, and also there are so many Western propagandas. Okay, so PQMKAI. PQMKAI. So many of things you know might not be true. Okay, just don't believe everything you are told by your media because many things are not really true. Okay, you have to come over here, make friends with the locals, and see everything with your own eyes and hear everything from the locals yourself. Okay, just don't come to conclusion, jump to conclusion too quickly just by hearing the things that you hear from the Western media, all those propagandas, because sometimes they spread those propagandas on purpose, for purpose to make you feel that okay, other countries are all in a mess and your country is the best country. So not all the things are like true. Okay, so it's not about look it up. Have you ever been to Xinjiang? Have you ever come in here and talked to the locals? Okay, so if you have ever come in here, have really talked to the locals, then okay, that's fine. Okay, otherwise if you're just saying that, oh yeah, I did a research, I googled it, I looked it up, oh so that is factual, then that is not called you have looked it up. Okay, that is not what you call it, you have looked it up. Okay, so just have some critical thinking. Okay, so don't just jump to conclusion too fast. Okay, so even though like people consider myself to be quite knowledgeable, still there are times that I am very biased when it comes to some things, right? For example, the other day I shared with people that I consider Switzerland to be a country that doesn't have a lot of nice food. The people said that, oh, you're really biased because there are actually lots of good food in Switzerland, right? and like immediately admit, okay, yeah, sure, because I've only visited for a couple of days and only visited like two cities in it, and I've only tried very few restaurants, and I've only heard people for heard the saying from local from Chinese people living there, right? So I can be very biased. So it's definitely about, you know, knowing more about this whole world. Okay, so PQMKAI, when you say that China, North Korea, big no no, I welcome you to stay in my life for longer. So definitely follow me. Okay, stay in my live stream for longer, because usually in my live stream I would share a lot about China, because there are people, foreigners, after hearing my life, start to understand more about this country, start to realize that many things they know about this country is not true. Okay, yeah, it's not very true. So like, China is a country with lots of history, lots of culture. It's definitely a wonderful country with many things that's worth learning from. So if you look at the whole world, there are very few nations that has like over 5,000 years of history. Yeah, there's like, you basically just have like Chinese Chinese 中国文明嘛，文明 how to say 文明啊，一个是巴比伦文明、埃及文明，对吧？这些都是，嗯，我看一下啊，埃及文明怎么说？civilization, Egyptian civilization. Wait, is civilization the right word? Civilization. So like, thank you, Lisa. Yeah. So for example, like you have Chinese civilization, you have Egyptian Babylon civilization. These are the very few civilization that has over 5,000 years of history. Okay, so you have a country that has over 5,000 years of history. That's definitely a country that has so many things to offer. It comes to so many aspects. Okay, so just don't come to the conclusion too fast. Okay, judge a country that just based on the kind of propaganda you heard from your media, okay, from your government, because sometimes lots of the news were spread for on purpose, right? For example, what's going on right now in the world, like everyone knows the kind of thing going on between the US and China, right? And if you look at the media by both countries, they are just telling a completely different stories. People are telling the story that is beneficial to their own country, that is good to make their people feel better. So that's why, oh, you know what? I just feel like I really want to laugh when you say like, okay, there's another very interesting comment that by also PQMKAI. You, to be honest, like my sincere suggestion to you, really, really sincere suggestion to you. Okay, very polite and sincere suggestion to you is definitely read more and travel more and try to open your eyes and mind more. Seriously, I can tell, from the kind of opinions you're expressing here. So you're saying that a lot of Chinese people have a lot to offer, but they are forced to make cheap products. So when you are saying that, I can immediately tell that, you know what, you definitely need to read more. Definitely read more, okay? Try to read 50 books this year, okay? If you read 50 books this year and try to watch more documentaries, just try to enhance your knowledge base and make your like mind more widely open, and also definitely travel to more countries and talk to make friends with other local people. Then you wouldn't just say that, okay? You wouldn't just say that. That's not something that someone who has 哎呀，真的不想这么说，我这个听了会不太高兴。To be honest, what I say might not make you feel very comfortable, but like judging from what you're sharing in here, I can feel that you definitely have a lot of room to improve when it comes to enhancing your knowledge base and like seeing of the world. Yeah. So that's not something that many of my other followers would say. Like when you say a lot of Chinese people have a lot to offer, but they are forced to make cheap products. Okay. So, okay, I'm going to elaborate a bit on that. Okay. So, I'm going to use my logic, my reasoning to tell you why they are not forced to make cheap products. Okay. Yeah. So, you have to understand that I'm going to, okay. Yeah. I read more. I know about the three dynasty that fought to take over China. I know all about China. No, you don't. Okay. You say that people are forced to make cheap products here in China. I say that's not called forced to make cheap products. Okay. You have to understand that China is a big country that has a lot to offer, right? I said before, it has a lot to offer. First is that it has a lot of people to offer, right? It has a lot of people to offer. It's a country with the biggest population in the world. You have a lot of human labors, okay? And second, it's a country that has a lot of resources to offer, okay? So we also, like the US and like Russia, we have also lots of minerals, lots of natural resources. We have lots of land to grow agricultures, right? Grow vegetables, grow fruits, right? So it's a country that has a lot to offer. And so, like, you definitely want to see, like, based on the resources, the kind of things that the country has, what is considered to be the best for this country to grow its economy, to grow its industry. Okay. You can also let this entire country to be artists, right? If you have a ruler of this country that said, okay, from today, our national strategy is we're going to make everyone of this country to be an artist. Yeah, for sure, you can do that. But if you want to do that, is that going to make this country to be as good, as strong as a country that has, is or is the kind of strategy going to make this country to be as good, as strong as the country with the strategy that we're going to utilize our local resources and just manufacturers produce the kind of things that we are good at. Okay, so looking at that, right? For example, like I said, what are the things we are good at? We have lots of people. So when we have a lot of people, all those people, they have to feed themselves as well, right? Don't you mean like force everyone to be artists? Like when I say that, it's never about the force, right? So the have you also noticed like why certain jobs are more popular in a country than others? Like for example, in certain countries, dentists are very popular kind of occupation, right? For example, in the US, like dentist is very popular, right? Many people would think like, oh, becoming a dentist is a very good occupation. However, here in China, dentist is just like the other kind of doctors. There's nothing special about dentists, right? But why dentist is so special in the US? It's because different country has different kind of policies and different kind of social structures, right, behind that. And because and the reason why behind that is not because the country is forcing everyone to be a dentist or forcing everyone to do something. It's because, overall speaking, when the ruler of the country is designing the whole structure, they designed in a way that certain occupation is more encouraged than others. That is not called forced, right, my friend? Do you agree? So, for example, why nowadays there are so many people working in the industry of AI, working in the industry of EV cars? It's not because they are forced to work in the industry of AI, they're forced to work in the industry of EV cars, right? It's because on the national level, those industries are really supported by the country. If you work inside those industries, you get lots of subsidies from the country, and also you might have a brighter future working in those industries. So that is not called forced. That is called encouraged. Okay, that is called encouraged. So that's why, like, when you come to different kind of industries, that okay, when the overall speaking, those are an industry that people are encouraged to work inside the industry. There are naturally just more people to work inside those industry. Okay. So when you're looking at the entire nation, you're looking at so many people you have to feed. If you're asking everyone, you're incentivize everyone. Exactly, Michael. You're incentivize everyone to be an artist and like making art crafts and sell it to like be very creative and sell it to other countries. Basically, you're not really utilizing the kind of strength of China, right? You're not really utilizing the strength of China. What's China's strength? One of our China's strengths is that we have huge population, and you cannot just ask everyone to be very intelligent artists, like spend so many years of studying and eventually, learn the skills of being very creative. Because some people are just not born with kind of genes, right? They're not born with a talent to be an artist, right? However, when it comes to manufacturing, like making products, it can be very simple. Like you only know how to screw, right? You only need to know how to put this thing and that thing together, and like things can be manufactured, right? So that provides lots of job opportunity to all the Chinese people in here. So compared to a country that has like very small population, then that might not be a good strategy for that country, right? If you have a country that has like very few population, and you're still saying that, oh, hey, yeah, we just ask everyone, just encourage everyone to work in the manufacturing industry, that's not good for that country's economy, right? So basically, what we are seeing here is not people are